I am very proud about it that you accepted this invitation to talk about your not only art, but also about your activity in Harare in Zimbabwe. You are born in Harare in Zimbabwe, and you visited the art school of visual art and design in Zimbabwe. You were also participating in market photo workshop in Johannesburg in South Africa. You were part of group shows showing in Tanzania, Namibia, and just now your work is shown in a group exhibition, Mixed Contemporary Art in Narwhal Foundation in Cape Town. This is a very important space for African art, this Narwhal Foundation. Your first solo exhibition was in Smug Gallery, also in Cape Town. And the first solo exhibition was a couple of months, 3 or 4 months ago, in Jan Kaps gallery in Cologne. It was your first Europe exhibition, and it was also the place we met. And I was immediately excited about your exhibition and decided to write a review for the magazine Freeze. And this is new. I just get this information that you will represent Zimbabwe next year during the Venice Biennale together with 3 other artists from Zimbabwe. So this was a very short introduction, and I am very curious, and I am very happy about it that you will talk about your activities in Harare, but just now you sit in Cape Town, where you are for a couple of months, I think, so you are working there, but your place is, as I understood, is Harare in Zimbabwe. So please.
Thank you, Naomi. Thank you for a very lovely introduction, and thank you for having me on this platform. And thank you, listeners, everyone who is tuned in and will be contributing and participating in the talk. Yes, my name is Kresiah Mukwazhi. I am a multidisciplinary artist from Zimbabwe. I think I can say I'm currently living and working between Zimbabwe and South Africa, Harare and Cape Town. These are the spaces that I found myself inspired, and I kind of bounce my energy between the two spaces to refresh and to keep myself going. So what I can say about my practice, well, I'm very interested in what I call the feminine emotional spectrum, and it means that I'm a storyteller, and I tell stories of women from different walks of life, and the experiences that I have with them personally, and I guess that would be interpersonal. So I use my personal experiences and the interpersonal encounters that I have with other women, as well as voicing the collective of different feminine communities. I can speak as well a bit about my background in terms of how I came about to work with sex workers in Harare. I think in the year 2016, I was completing a residency at a collective in Harare called Village Unu. And upon completing this residency, I had done research. I had done a lot of research in Hopley Farm, having encounters with these women and having very interesting conversations and exchanges. At times, they would even pose with my artworks. They were very intrigued with the work I was experimenting with. So it was a very lovely residency to have explored that subject. But it was very difficult once again after completing my residency to sustain my practice as an artist. I began to work at a nightclub, and this was the space where I got even into closer proximity with a lot of the women that were working in this informal sector of sex work, pole dancing, you know, even waitressing, some of them. So I worked at a nightclub for a year. I worked at 2 nightclubs actually in that year, and that was my means of making ends meet and buying myself some paint and brushes and, you know, just to keep the practice going. So this was the time during which I came up with my first solo exhibition, which I would create usually during the night or the day, depending on my shift at the nightclub. And I came up with my first solo exhibition, which was titled Bedroom Interview. From Bedroom Interview, my second solo exhibition is an extension of the ideas that I explored then. I was interested in identifying what exactly empowered these women in their communities. And I came to realize that the economic empowerment was one of the important things that gave these women a strong sense of identity, security, and empowerment in general. So Mukando, the title of my second solo exhibition, is an extension of some of these ideas and the conversations of this space where women gather to empower each other financially. And yeah, I can say I was unpacking a lot of stories that are intimate, stories that women talk about when they gather, you know, and you find there's a lot of eroticism in the work as well, because I'm interested in this idea that a woman can be empowered in her erotic form instead of just being sexualized and gazed upon. Yeah, so in short, I can say that's my practice as far as that project is concerned, and it continues, of course, into other elements. Yeah.
But you were also finding a kind of platform with this woman to support each other. Can you tell something about this? Yeah.
Yes, that was one of the things I realized and learned about during the time that I was visiting the community Hopley Farm. And they meet every Wednesday. Sometimes it's every Monday, but basically every once a week, these women gather to contribute a certain amount towards each other. So one is welcome to borrow from that club, if I can call it a club, right? A savings club. And you're also welcome to lend money and so on and so on. And it's not just something that sex workers do to empower themselves. Different circles of women around the city, around the country, also participate in this round, as we call it. We casually call it rounds. So if you are in this round, you know you're supposed to put forward a certain amount every now and again, and then at some point you get a lump sum, and you know, you are able to invest, you are able to support your business, and a lot of things become manageable for you. So I find that economic security is very important for women, because often you find some cases of domestic violence are caused because women feel insecure and they feel codependent, and that can become a form of oppression where they are constantly abused because of that. And I found that economic security is an important aspect of women empowerment, because it can actually save one from being domestically abused or defend one from being domestically abused. So these are some of the issues that I was trying to touch on in the exhibition Mukando.
Yeah. And you grew up in Harare, you were born there in Zimbabwe, and this is, how much did you know about, let's say, contemporary art, or what is going on in contemporary art when you was a child or grew up in this place? Did you have kind of some connection or some idea what artists are doing, for instance, in Europe, or what was done at the time in Harare? Was there some kind of art scene and so on?
Yeah, I think for me, I started to interact with artists from a very early stage. From the moment I was in high school and researching on my advanced level research, I was expected to interview artists and visit their studios. So I felt so free in going to the National Gallery and getting these contacts, starting to meet up with artists. So by the time I finished my high school and then I was applying for to study at the National Gallery Visual School of Art and Design, I had already met artists such as Virginia Chiota, Mishek Masambu, Portia Shavaera, Georgina Maxim, Masimba Wati. I had met a number of artists already, and they continued to be a part of my journey, as if I can call it that, through mentoring me. And some of them hosted me at their spaces, and that's Village Unu Collective, where I did a year's residency before working at the nightclub for another year. So yeah, I've been blessed to have these encounters and mentors from different spaces, even spaces such as Gallery Delta, where at one point I won the first prize in 3D artwork in a competition that was held at that gallery. So to start to receive recognition from as back as, that was in the year 2016 actually, was very encouraging for me. So from the art school to mentorship to receiving a prize and exhibiting at different local art spaces like Village Unu, Gallery Delta, First Floor Gallery, and of course the National Gallery itself, was very encouraging and was a window into what contemporary art could be, and of course not just contemporary art, but learning about the history of Zimbabwean art itself through the school, and of course, you know, different other programs. So yeah, I think it started from back in school and has continued until now. Yeah.
And how did you get this contact to Cape Town, to South Africa? Because South Africa, there are all these museums and there are some galleries, very active galleries. So how did you get this contact to Cape Town?
Very interesting story. I used to hang out a lot at the cafe that's at the National Gallery. So one afternoon I was having my coffee, and the director of the gallery that I showed with my first solo exhibition with happened to visit the gallery on the same day that I was at the cafe, and I also had work that was showing in an exhibition that was the annual Zimbabwe exhibition titled Naka, or Inheritance. So in that exhibition, I was showing one of my textile pieces, a very early experiment of the textile work that I'm making now. And he was quite struck by it and was in luck that I was around. Tandazani Lakama was also still working at the National Gallery then. She's now an assistant curator at the Zeitz-Moka Museum. So she introduced me to him, and he was very excited to stay in touch and work together. But also prior to that, I had participated in the Joburg Art Fair, and I had met through the Village Unu Collective. That was my first art fair participation. So I had met a few people from South Africa, not just Joburg, but also Cape Town. And one of them being Jonathan, who's the director of Blank Project. And I recently had a project with him actually in a group exhibition. So yeah, I could say it started back in about 2015, 2016, thereabouts. And then I started to show, and then one thing led to the other, from one show to others, and so on.
Maybe you were also showing in Cologne this textile work. Maybe can you say more about it, why you are using textile, and where do you find this textile, and why are you using this kind of textile? Can you say more to this?
Well, absolutely. One of the aims of the work that I do is to play with the element of surprise. I play with the element of discomfort, and I also play with the element of resistance. So I found that women's undergarments are not only provocative, but in most African communities, it's considered a taboo to see a woman's undergarment. So the moment a woman starts to strip in anger, it's seen as a bad omen to whoever has upset her. So it's very sacred, and the female body in itself is very sacred. It's regarded with a lot of respect. So I found that in order to raise awareness and to raise attention as well to the issues that I'm addressing in my work, I wanted to use a medium that is provocative in that sense, and has a charge of resistance, has a charge of protest, a voice of protest, but also a tenderness to it. So I was drawn very particularly to petticoat, the material used to make petticoat. I enjoy its transparency, and I enjoy the fact that it's also an undergarment in itself. And I've been on a journey to explore all the dimensions that it can take me to, tearing it up, painting on it, stitching on it, sticking things on it to create really what I see as some kind of blankets. They could be blankets, because care is an important part of what I want to do with my work. I want it to have a sense of caring. So the work tends to have that blanket-like feeling, so as to almost cover who it's for, or protect who it's for, or heal who it's speaking for. So that's what I can say about that medium. I've also worked with braziers, some call them bras, to create sculptural work. I've also worked with the bra strap itself to create other three-dimensional works, and I'm still on a path to use this medium more and more to express myself and realize how far I can take it. Yeah.
And you were in Cologne also showing this video work called Mukando. This was also the title of your show. I don't know if you maybe can say something to this video, and maybe can you show it?
Oh, I can't show it right now, unfortunately. But I think the video you are referring to is actually titled Thirst. The title of the whole exhibition is Mukando, but the title of the video piece is called Thirst. So Thirst was actually a performance. And in this performance, I take on a imagined figure. So I'm actually the figure that is performing in the, in the performance. And you find that there are a lot of bottles on the floor, and it feels like a home setting. It feels, because of the drapings behind me as a backdrop, and I'm dressed up with a blue wig and a very shiny object that I'm swinging around, and it's a very funny performance. But anyway, this piece was actually an attempt to speak about alcoholism, because I found that alcoholism was a coping mechanism for a lot of women that turn to sex work and other extreme measures of survival. So I found a very thin line between the excitement that becomes of someone when they are intoxicated, as well as the grief that they are suppressing, or the darkness that they are running away from when they are intoxicated. So I find alcoholism to be almost like a state of mind that can speak about something that is disturbed or something that is at dis-ease. So that's why I use bottles in that performance. And one other thing I want to do with my work is to make a comment on the state of the economy and the state of the realities that force women into some of these informal labors. So the wig and the gesture of doing that is kind of a way of mocking this patriarchal perspective that, or patriarchal system really, that causes these kind of situations. So I use bright colors and I use wigs to make a mockery statement or a mocking comment to what I will be addressing in the work. And I also use notes, money notes. You will see money notes appearing even in some of my textiles. The work that I'm currently showing at Novel Foundation has some money notes on it. And the other video piece that was in the exhibition, Mukando, titled Please Tip Your Dancers, it also has old devalued coins and devalued money notes. And this again speaks to the state of economy and challenges, questions, mocks it in an attempt to shed light on it, in an attempt to start a conversation around an economy that continues to fail, an economy that continues to lose its value and lose its currency, and hence forcing a lot of young women into sex work, into human trafficking and other forms of, unfortunate situations. So yeah, I think that's what I can say about that piece.
And what does it mean, Mukando? This was the title of the whole show. What does it mean?
Mukando means to throw. It means to throw in. So you can imagine the same way you would stand at a pond, for example, and throw in a coin and make a wish. It's kind of the same idea. But when we say Mukando in my language, which is Shona, we are saying to throw in. So in essence, we are saying throw in your money and save it and multiply it, and then it will come back to you at tenfold. But you need 9 other women to do that, so that it can come back to you at tenfold. So you're throwing in and you are waiting and you are multiplying, and then it comes back to you. So Mukando, it means to throw in.
What I also like about your work, and you were somehow mentioned when you were talking about a video, about a film. So this combination, you are talking about very serious, very sad issues on one side, and on other side, this work, also this textiles have somehow a very funny carnivalistic dimension. So are you using consciously this contradiction, this somehow funny dimension on one side, on the other side, this very sad, tragic, we were talking about some destiny of some of your friends were very tragic cases. So this contradiction, are you working consciously with it?
Yes, I work very consciously with that contrast or juxtaposition, if you like to call it. You find that my work becomes very bright at times, or it becomes very shiny or textured and carries these elements, these comic elements. But what I actually enjoy is it's that deception, because I come from a space where censorship is quite an issue. So one has to express themselves in a way that they are careful not to be threatened by the government, or to be threatened by whatever forces or systems that, you know, can oppress your voice and stop you from really saying what you want to say. But having worked in the nightclub and having seen very lavish lifestyles and very flashy styles of dressing, but realizing that underneath all of that was a lot of darkness and trauma and unfortunate situations, I was really inspired by how I could use that language to actually bring to light some of these issues. So it's kind of like a seduction. I think it's a seduction that's meant to invite the viewer, it's meant to invite the audience, to draw them in and to draw their gaze, such that the conversation can really be had. So at times I enjoy moments where I look at my work and it draws me in, and I start to really feel like my attention has been captured by this creation. And I enjoy that experience for myself. So I try to channel it into the work so that other people can as well be drawn. But also, once you're drawn into it, you realize that the conversation in itself is quite tragic. But it's a form of healing for me, to be able to address these stories, to be able to tell these stories in a beautiful way, in an attractive light, funny, comic way, because I feel that way people receive the work a bit better, and they are engaged somehow. So it's a very conscious decision to play with that contrast and contradiction. Yes.
Yeah, you are right. When I was watching your film, so I had really this feeling of this seduction somehow. And not only seduction, it works a little like a drug. You
Yes.
know, it's
Yes.
you look at this film and it's about alcoholism, and you have by yourself the feeling somehow you are a drug addict also. So this in this looking at it, so it's funny on one way, on other way, and this is what I like about the work. It's not only funny, because you immediately also realize how tragic somehow these issues you are talking about, and they are very touching, this issue. But it's a strange way. The issues are what you are talking about are very touching, but when I left this exhibition, or when I was during the time I was there, you are not, after you was looking at it or be part of it, you are not depressed somehow. In contradiction, you are more, somehow you have also you have the feeling you have more energy that you had before somehow. So you are also this kind of, when energy was this coming from your work, so you became part of it. And this is what very often, if you look in work, what is dealing with this issue after this, you are totally depressed and totally exhausted. And this is totally another feeling what you have after you looked at your work. This is why I was so impressed about this exhibition. Yeah.
Thank you, Naomi. Thank you so much.
So, and I tried somehow to put it and to talk about it in my text. I was also in my text talking about this film. I don't know if you know this film from this. When I was looking at your film and also in your pieces, there is a film done by, this is also a woman, African woman filmmaker. I forgot now the name, but I wrote about it in the text. I don't know if you have seen this film, if you know this film, because this was this kind of.
I should find it. I should find it.
Yeah, because I was surprised with this kind of aesthetic, you know, this colorful, also this humor and this wit and this positive energy by what she's talking and showing is really, really very tragic and very sad. But this was very similar, this energy to your work. So, but I forgot now the name of the filmmaker. But what I would like to know, if you can somehow tell us more about the situation in your country. You was talking about it, that there is you cannot publish everything, and but do you have possibilities to show your work? Is there a structure of galleries or showing places or some platforms where you can show your work, where you can discuss about this problem? How is it?
Yeah, it's a matter of I don't know what I can say. It's a matter of chance, really. I think it's a matter of chance. At times, an artwork will not be accepted because because at a certain space, because the space is possibly an institution, and institutions represent the government itself. But I've always felt that there's room for a lot to be done in my country as far as institutional infrastructure is concerned. I pay a lot of respect to the National Gallery for the school that they have, but I've always questioned why there's only one university in the country that offers the art program. So I'm always interested in seeing how artists, I've been interested and inspired, let me say, to see how artists have taken it upon themselves to actually build and start new spaces that are artist run and are for the artists as well. They give young artists space to experiment really, and not just look forward to this one institution to give them space and opportunities to be seen and to be recognized for what they're expressing in their work. So I feel on a national level, a lot more can be done in terms of art education. So on an art education level, that's what I would say. I feel there's more the nation can do and the government can do to have more and more artists in the world. But I also salute the artists that are there and the work that they are doing actively to participate in that. But censorship is an issue. You know, you find it's very difficult to even address the context of having done work relating to sex workers when sex work itself is illegal in the country. But something so illegal is also something scattering the whole country. You know, you go everywhere, every city that you go to, you find that there are sex workers, and in some parts of Africa, human trafficking is actually taking place. So you really begin to wonder about the state of the nation and the contribution that it's making to the realities of a lot of women, and what is being done really to stop or control the employment sector. We continue to have very high rates of unemployment in my country. So you can imagine what that's like for women. Hence, they are now starting these projects to kind of empower themselves, these projects like Mukando, and other projects that they venture into as a means of trying to sustain themselves. But it's always a battle. If you're selling your tomatoes on the road, you have to fight with the council because they'll come and they will raid you. But then the government does not give you a job. So what are you supposed to do? You know, so I find that quite interesting. I find the whole play of it quite interesting. The strength that people possess in my country, the almost entrepreneurial mindset of trying to survive against all odds. So you find that my work is now beginning to also look at women in the diaspora, because a decent number of Zimbabweans have left the country to survive elsewhere. And a lot of Zimbabweans are here in South Africa, and I'm beginning to explore the issues that they are encountering in the work that I'm currently making now. And sex work continues to be one of those jobs that young women leaving the country to make a means of survival end up in, and also domestic work. But the domestic work sometimes comes with, extra favors where, you are now expected to compromise your body or give your body in addition to the domestic work that you're doing, just to be able to send some money back home. So I found this to be an interesting addition to my research. And I've also, in my travels, come across spaces like Dar es Salaam when I was in Tanzania, where almost every 200 to 600 meters that you travel, there is a massage parlor. So I got really interested in why there are so many massage parlors in Dar es Salaam. And during my residency there, the more I asked people about it, the more they started to have the curiosity that I was having around the possibility of human trafficking taking place in Dar es Salaam, but being disguised as massage parlors. So young girls are being taken from their homes with the promise of work, and then they are made to work in these massage parlors where they obviously end up compromising themselves by giving clients happy endings. So it's a lot of content that I got exposed to in my travel, and I'm adding all of these conversations in my work and hoping to also revisit some of these spaces so that I can have more information and add more to the stories that I'm telling.
Yeah. And just now you were showing in Europe for the first time in this gallery Jan Kaps in Cologne. What was your experience with the audience, with the European audience, with the reaction of these people in Europe? What would you say?
Generally, I feel the reaction was good. It's always really interesting to observe the audience having a moment with the work and really being engaged and curious. But it's one thing to try and say something in an artwork, and it's another for the audience to get it. So I got really excited when you were talking about your experience with the performance piece and how it made you feel high. And that being one of the intentions that I had when I was making that particular work. So it was really an honor to have been present for the installation, for the appointments, and watch people have encounters with the work. And there were about 3 or so reviews that were done for that exhibition. And that was also very encouraging and another sign to show that people were really receiving the work very well. I did notice that a lot of people were commending the courage that I have to be addressing some of these issues, and I feel very honored to carry that courage and to channel it through my work, because I realize more and more that people want to talk about this. People are aware about this, but there's not a lot of conversation around it. And yeah, I think Cologne was one of the spaces where I was in a different space altogether, a different audience, but still the work was connecting with the people, giving it almost like a global language. I think I'm really looking forward to showing in more different spaces and observe how different people relate with the work.
Can I ask you something? Yeah. Do you have the impression that you, by what you do as an artist, do you have an impression that you have some kind of impact on the reality? Does it make you feel that you make a difference?
Absolutely. I feel I make a difference because my energy, I think, and what I channel into the work continues to be alive for as long as the artwork exists. In the moment that I create the artwork, I am channeling my energy, my thoughts, my ideas into that work and creating something from nothing. So it becomes something that is alive. It becomes something that exists and possesses the message that it's carrying. And it might not be a practical influence where I can, swing a magic wand and the life of the people I am talking about in my work changes completely. But it's a matter of keeping that flame alive, lighting that candle wherever I am in whatever way that I can. And that's my contribution. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah, because I think sometimes we are we are so much concerned with some kind of subject in the arts, and then all of a sudden we realize it's a kind of a bubble. But sometimes I think it really matters, as you say, that at least you have the real engagement of and you have one day it will make some real impact. Very.
Yes.
Yes. In the reality itself. Yeah. Yeah. But it does eventually. No.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, just the fact that Kresiah started to talk about this issue. I think it was for years and years in Africa, but also in Europe, it was a kind of taboo issue. This whole question of this sexual workers in Africa, this trafficking of women coming also to Europe, and all this was taboo. It was in Africa, I think it was not discussed and it was not present, and also in Europe it was taboo. So I think just this fact that you start to talk about it and to open this whole huge problem and this tragic lives of this woman and their destinies, and Also, I told about this, was talking about this film, this was the same issue there. So this changed a lot, I think, just this, to open the discussion, this changed the society already, the awareness of this problem.
Yes, absolutely. I feel it's a global narrative, and people relate from different corners of the world, in different proximity as well. I always feel sometimes I'm still scratching the surface of this topic, and there's still a lot more that lies beneath the surface that I want to unpack, and taking it really one stage at a time, one exhibition at a time, until the message reaches as far as it can, and I can also go as deep as I can in telling these stories. Yeah.
So now we were discussing here, and thank you so much for this really interesting and very important kind of discussion. And I would say we open to discussion. I don't know, are there some questions from the audience, or Adam, do you have some question more? So you can.
Let's wait for the audience if somebody has some question. But what about? I was about to ask, like, the current situation with the virus. Is it somehow influencing the community and eventually your work also? And how does it? What happens in your country now?
Yeah, I mean, I've had to take a bit of a break from visiting the space due to restrictions and not really being sure what the state is. But through communicating, you understand that somehow people are surviving and they're hanging in there. But it's like living in a slum, really, where before COVID, there were already issues of water shortages, water supply, and in spaces like that, disease becomes quite prominent. So I feel it's definitely hit quite hard in these times, and for a group of people that have set up somewhere illegally, they don't receive as much attention as, you know, spaces that are in, you know, legal structures or legal houses and all of these. So it's definitely a critical situation. And what I do know is as far as other healthcare facilities such as HIV kits and things like that, those are made available through clinics and other private organizations that work in support and in support of sex workers and their healthcare. But as far as COVID, I haven't really seen an active effort to send some kind of PPA to their communities. So I think they're just somehow managing as far as they can.
See.
So are there some questions? You have the possibility really to talk to somebody who you don't meet every day in Europe.
I have a message from.
So I am wondering that you are not using this possibility.
This Maria.
Really very privileged situation that you can speak.
There is one question.
Yeah.
And it's about Maria asks if is it possible to see your video that you talked about? And did you ever make a kind of handmade artwork with girls from the nightclubs and from the? That's question number 2.
Yeah, well, I unfortunately I can't show you the video now, but I can share it with Noemi if she would like to play it for whoever is tuning in, if there's a possibility of arranging a screening on a separate occasion that can be arranged. And the girls from the strip clubs, no, I didn't create anything with them per se, but I've had some bras that I've collected. So when I started to take my artwork to Hopley Farm and to show the women I was meeting, the work I was creating, they got really excited and they started to say, oh, so we'll give you our bras when we don't want them anymore. Now we have somewhere to throw them away. So that's as far as the contributions came, and there were not very much, just a few. I also collected some bras during my residency in Mukando at Rhodes University. I put out boxes around the campus for students to donate. And I also collected a few from there. So yeah, I like the idea in itself. It's quite interesting, but I always have to do it in a very controlled manner. So usually, if I already have a relationship or an encounter with you, and then we arrange that when you have outgrown your bra, you can post it to me, or we can arrange for a collection of some sort. So a lot of all the bras that I use, actually, except for very few, are pre-loved. So they've been worn, and they carry, the energy of their owner. I remember one time when I was doing my residency at Village Unu, Mishek Masambu walking in my studio and telling me about the scent that the work has. So you find that scent is also the sweat, and the sweat mostly that the braziers have is something that you will experience when you're really close to the work. You can actually smell that these works have been, these bras have been worn before. So I enjoy that element in the work, and I would like to explore it a bit further. Yeah.
Yeah, there is a question from Adela. I see she didn't catch the beginning. She is asking, do you work with women directly, or it is public? Do you select your participants, or is it an open platform?
Wow, a bit of everything, actually. It's a bit of everything. I'm, like I was saying, I'm now exploring women in the diaspora, Zimbabwean women in the diaspora, and some of them work as domestic workers. Some of them work as sex workers, but my focus is usually in the informal sectors. I also researched a little bit, not in depth, about women that are in sports betting. So sports betting is quite a male-dominated sport, but women are starting to engage in it as well. But obviously, it's a space where you are quite the main attraction when you're in that space. So men can tend to be quite verbally abusive, pass comments, and all of these things. So you're quite an accessory if you are in a space that is male dominated. And I found that to be quite interesting. And I'm intending to touch a bit on that in my work as well. So it's really however it comes to me, however I encounter, like I say in my artist statement, that it's the personal, the interpersonal, and the collective, however way it comes to me.
And my question is, what is the reaction of this woman when you start to talk them and to tell them that I am artist working about this issue, and if they see, what is the reaction, or was the reaction when they saw this film, this video?
Strange. I think the work, art in itself sometimes is not, contemporary art is not something that some people are well versed in. So it comes across as strange, but but interesting. You can tell there's a genuine interest and appreciation of what you have created, but not so much the understanding of what it is and how it's made. So it's been a mixed bag of emotions. Sometimes people don't want their story to be told. Sometimes they choose not to open up. Sometimes they don't want their identity exposed, so they might give you information. But I also work as I also express myself through photography. So sometimes I carry my camera, but sometimes I don't, because the experience of just being present and having an exchange with someone, for me, is enough, and it can also last a lifetime, as much as a photograph can also do. So it's really a mixture of emotions. You might find someone who will share their story with you, but they won't really be interested in your artwork because they don't like art. And but they are very open to sharing and understanding why you are so interested in listening to them and voicing their story to the world. So yeah, it's mixed. It goes different ways.
So I just find the title of the film and the director. I just put it on the and the title is Oloture. This must be also Oloture, and the director was Kenneth Kwayang. I write it on the. And this film was winning some prizes. I don't know exactly where, but it's really worth to see it. Also for the audience, if you have a chance somewhere. But you can also you can find this film in Netflix. Netflix is have this film. So if you put it in this, so you will find it in Netflix, and it's really worth to see this film about the situation of women in Africa. The name is Kwayang. So now I put it on the. So I put it on to the chats. So Oloture from Kenneth. No, this is the name is. The name is. So. Okay. Yeah. So this. Good. Yeah. Yes, this is the right name. This is the.
Kenneth Kion. Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah.
Right. Okay.
So and
I'll definitely give it a watch. Sounds interesting.
Definitely, because this somehow the aesthetic, the colors, and also kind of humor in this whole situation it's similar to your work. So when I saw your work, and I am not sure if I saw this movie before or after, but immediately I brought it somehow together. Yeah. So are there some other questions from the audience? Adam, do you have a question?
I think I got all my answers. I'm very glad. Yeah.
Yeah, it would be great if we could somehow show this film, because this film is really very impressive.
Yeah.
But we will talk about it. Maybe we can show it somewhere.
Sure. Yes.
And if there are no questions, then I would say thank you very, very much for this talk. Wonderful talk about not so wonderful issues, about issues what is, I think we will hear in the next time, we will hear much more about this problem, because it's, I have the feeling we just start now to talk about it and to deal with it. And you were, I think, in this development, you play an important role, because you are one of the first who really opened this discussion. So thank you very much, and we wish you all the best. And you will be part in Venice in the Biennale, so maybe some of the audience will be there. Then please go to Pavilion of Zimbabwe and you will meet Kresiah there, and maybe you can talk with her in her, not only on the stream, also in the reality. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Naomi, for having me. It was really a pleasure.